Locate a Winery visited Chateau Thomas Winery, located in Plainfield, Indiana, near Indianapolis. For wine lovers trying to find wineries in Indiana, Chateau Thomas Winery is definitely worth a trip to Indiana. What makes this winery so fascinating to talk about besides its wines is the owner, Dr. Charles Thomas. He is extremely educated and a walking encyclopedia about wine. In fact, he has written a book to share all of his knowledge with fellow wine lovers called Practical Wine Talk, a Physician-Winemaker Examines Wines. When describing and talking about this winery, it is hard not to talk about Dr. Thomas. He makes the winery what it is, and one of the appeals to visit it. Dr. Thomas has been a winemaker and started this winery in the 1970s, stemming from his winemaking hobby and love for wine. He started making wines as a home winemaker, and his passion for wine turned into winemaking and the creation of Chateau Thomas Winery. The winery and winemaking eventually became a full-time venture for Dr. Thomas, even though he was a practicing obstetrician and gynecologist for 32 years. He held his medical practice the last 10 years, all the while running the winery full-time. Dr. Thomas is a fascinating person to talk with. He readily offers insight about the history of grapes and how wines are made. It was interesting to learn he went to Napa for formal training to learn more about his craft. He's taught numerous classes about wine and is a certified professional wine judge. Not only is the owner impressive in every way, but so is his winery. They host a number of events ranging from banquets, wedding receptions, to New Year's Eve parties. As you walk into the winery, the tasting room feels as though you've walked into someone's living room and about to visit with friends. There are large, comfortable leather chairs to sit in as you chat about their awesome wines. There is also plenty of wine-related merchandise to look at, admire, and purchase, as well as marvel at their array of awards displayed for their wines. Dr. Thomas personally treated us to a wine tasting. Fair warning, though, you need to know the tasting protocol rules before starting your wine tasting session with him. We all probably know that there is a general order to taste wines, but Dr. Thomas simply states the 4 rules in his book. Here they are for your reference. Dry wine before sweet wine, white wine before red, light wine before heavy wine, and young wine before old wine. Now that you know the rules and the correct order for tasting wines, you can begin your tasting. Our tasting was simple. We only sampled 4 red wines, which were Traldigo, Cabernet Franc Amador, Primitivo, and Petit Verdot. As soon as we took our first sip of the Traldigo, there was an instant smell of spice with a hint of cherry taste. Dr. Thomas said this wine is fast becoming his favorite wine, so much so he made a rosé from it, and as soon as he gets a label made for the rosé, he plans to release it. The Petit Verdot was our favorite. The taste of the wine was very light, smooth, and buttery. It was so good we bought a bottle of it. Dr. Thomas gave us a tour of their winemaking facility. One thing that really stood out were the oak barrels. The oak barrels are purchased from Missouri and has the winery's name stamped on them. There is only one other winery in the U.S. that gets their barrels from the same place and has their name stamped on them, and that is Silver Oak Winery in Oakville, California. Impressively, Chateau Thomas Winery produces well over 15,000 cases annually of different varieties of wine with the amazing grapes they get from the West Coast. You cannot miss this winery from the road because it is quite large with signs big enough to see from the road. The entrance welcomes you into their tasting room. Stop by Chateau Thomas Winery. They will positively help you create a memory while sipping a glass of wine.